But Kevin Durant, so while we were doing our first segment, or right after it actually, I get, and Durant knows what people are saying and tweeting about him and all
I
that.
told you he's the Masot, the most sensitive of all time.
I think he lives on social media. And but anyway, someone said something about him, and he put out, maybe Rob G can better explain it, but he says, let me get, was that in reference to the Odd Couple? Rob G?
No, it was not in reference to the Odd Couple.
I
wish.
wish.
Well,
He was
sure
ripping you, Chris. He said that he doesnn't text with you. You don't have his number.
No,
Remember
I mean,
that.
we've actually corresponded. He'll hit me up here and there, and we'll talk.
No, so this is what happened. Somebody tweeted out, I've never seen anybody carried like at KD Trey 5. For him to be an all-time great, he'll never prove it. So they went back and forth for a few minutes. And the guy says, moral of the story, while teams are going to war, you got it easy. You're top 2 in the league, Harden top 5, Kyrie 6 or 7. All you're proving is if you stack a team, there's no real competition. And so KD's response was, let me guess, my quote-unquote legacy took another hit, end quote. And now he's just been going back and forth with guys all the last couple of hours who are questioning, his legacy, so to speak, as an NBA player.
I'm going to say this, Rob. First of all, and you call him the Masot, I'm going to say this. I'm not so sure anymore that Durant is sensitive. And Durant, like I said, he'll reach out to me, and we haven't talked. We text or let me get it right. He reached out to me on Twitter, DM. So we DMing. But I think he told me, he said, look, I like the back and forth. I was like, why are you responding to every, Tom, Dick, and Harry, I'm paraphrasing, but, he's like, look, I like the back and forth, and I got time. So what's the big deal? And my thing has been this, Rob, if it doesn't affect this play, and you know this having worked in New York, a lot of times people tell players when they go to New York, don't read the back page or don't read the papers.
Right.
Because it could get in your head and mess with you. And my thing is this. If Durant wants to go ahead and get into it with fans, we might not like it. We might think it's wrong, whatever. If it doesn't impact this game, then I'm cool with it. I would be bothered if there was a player who had rabbit ears, heard everything that was said about him, and it impacted him. And it got in his head, and he couldn't go out there and ball at the best of his ability because it was in his head. Obviously, it doesn't work that way with Durant. So, you know what? He's grown up in this era where they always on their phones. Maybe that's just, at this point, I'm cool with it. It's just who he is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you're on that caliber, you've won championships, all the stuff that you've done, you don't have to respond to people, Chris. I'm sorry. That's just,
he likes it.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
And he grew up in a different era than me. I don't feel like you always got to be looking for somebody to validate you. I don't need anybody to validate me.
I don't know that he's looking for validation, though. I think he's just going back and forth with cats. Like, he's challenging the ones that are ripping him. But, let's just go to what he said. His legacy taking a hit. I'm going to say this, Rob. And maybe 10 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, we probably would feel differently. Man, look, this is the freaking NBA now. For better or for worse, LeBron, and I don't know anybody that thinks Durant historically is better than LeBron. Okay? LeBron is the second best player ever. LeBron's never won a championship without another superstar. He hasn't. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love, as we talked earlier, how good Kevin Love was when he had his own team. Even though they couldn't win, he put up numbers. He was a perennial all-star. And then, of course, the Miami crew. So you can, yes, Durant, Golden State was the stacked team of all stacked teams. And this team has become that. But this is the NBA now. LeBron was trying to get Kawhi. Can you imagine?
No,
LeBron,
that would have been.
AD, it would have been.
It would have been obscene. It would have been obscene.
Yes, and this is kind of obscene, but this is it now. This is how it is. So, I I'm not going to kill him. It's the era he's playing in. Now, and let me keep it real, and there is a little difference. I have no problem. I like the player empowerment, but we've always had super teams. They were just not player-generated super teams. So in Boston, we can go back even further than that, Rob. Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, who actually never won a championship. But, you know, when Elgin retired, they ended up winning a ring, and Gail Goodrich was awesome. He's a Hall of Famer. Barkley, Olajuwon, and Drexler, they never won together, but they hooked up. Shaq, Kobe, the mailman, and Gary Payton, who were older but had put up all-star numbers the year before they went to the Lakers, they didn't win it. And, of course, you go back to the 80s, Bird, Parrish, McHale, Dennis Johnson, who you know, Rob, could ball. He helped Seattle win that championship in 79. Him and Gus Johnson were the two stars. Gus Williams were the two stars.
And don't forget, he made that basket against the bad boys, too. Remember, when Bird stole the ball, Dennis Johnson's the man who scored the basket to win that game.
Yep. And then, of course, Magic, Showtime, I mean, they were stacked. So Dr. J won it with Moses Malone and Maurice Cheeks and Andrew Thompson. So
they had a great squad there.
That's one of the best individuals. Like 1 year, I think that's one of the best teams ever for 1 year. So my point is, you've always had these super teams. The difference is their players put them together today for the most part. But, you know,
and the other part too, Chris, the other part is that there was in a lot of those there were trades made. So you gave up something to get something. That's the difference.
Right.
That's
the Boston Big Three, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen.
They were traded. I mean, you could say two of those guys were traded to the Celtics.
But
that's just fact.
They are.
No, I'm not saying I get it. I get it. But they get to give up something. Rob, it's like the Nets had to give up some players to get James Harden. James Harden didn't sign there. If they kept their bench that they had, Chris, prior to that intact, what game would they lose?
It would have been ridiculous. It would have been even more ridiculous than this. But will it come up, Rob? We always talk about it when you're debating the all-time greats. You nitpick. So could it come up in a nitpicking, when you're figuring out between Durant and Dr. J or Larry Bird or whoever? Could it come up then? Maybe. Probably. But we'll see. But at this point, man, this is the NBA now. You know what I'm saying? Just how it is.
Yep, no doubt.
I mean, they're all, Harden. This is going to enhance. You people can talk. If they win it this year, is anybody going to rip James Harden for it? Say, well, yeah, he had KD and Kyrie. I mean, the way he's playing, I don't think so.
No, and the other part, too, is look what he's doing without Durant. I don't believe if Durant was there the whole time, Chris, and they were running off these 14 out of 15, and James Harden was just kind of a part of it, then maybe people might say, well, what? Well, it was no big deal. Look at what Kyrie and Durant were doing already. Do you see? But it hasn't been that.
Their record wasn't that great.
No.
They were missing a lot of games, too. But you know what I mean? Before they got Harden. But, all right, let's throw it out to the callers. 877-99 on Fox. 877-996-6369. Will you hold it against Kevin Durant? I mean, does it hurt his legacy even if they win the championship this year? Because they're so stacked.
All right, Connor in Denver. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What up, brother?
All good.
Yeah. So love the show, but people are just being babies. They're just hating. If their home team, was able to put together a super squad, they wouldn't have anything to say. It's always, what you don't have. People are just hating. That's the bottom line. If their teams are able to get it together, whether it's the players or the GMs, whatever, good for them.
Rob G wanted Kawhi.
Yep, and now he hates him.
And LeBron, and that wasn't enough. Now he wanted Kawhi.
He wanted him, no doubt. Connor, thank you, buddy.
And anybody hating on LeBron, I mean, he's the best. Like you can't mess with him. Like Kevin Love complaining that his role is diminished. It's like, that's what happens whenever you play with the greatest. One of the greatest.
One of the great, no doubt about it. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Nick in South Carolina. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Nick?
Hey guys, hope you guys are having a good night. Thanks for having me on.
We are good, man. We are good.
Good to hear. Hey man, I think Durant had a chance to prove himself, but he lost it, man. I mean, as the great Ralph Parker says, when KD went to the Warriors, he took Steph's lunch money. So I think that's what Harden did with KD. But
interesting.
Yeah, but I think I agree with the whole Facebook. LeBron started MySpace.
Right, and Facebook.
Durant started Facebook, but I think we got to stop blaming LeBron for Durant's choice. So LeBron didn't show Durant, if you can't beat the competition, then join it. So that's on Durant. And while I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to affect his legacy, I think when we nitpick with LeBron and Bird on who's in that Mount Rushmore small forwards or even the top 10 spots, that's got to make a difference. So.
And let me ask you this. If Durant and the Nets win back-to-back championships, you think that changes the way you look at Durant?
I mean, he's always going to be an all-time great, and he'll be.
No, but I'm just saying, like he went to a team that never won anything, and they won. Right? Can he get higher from winning back-to-back championships in Brooklyn?
Yeah. I mean, I think if he wins Finals MVPs, yeah. But if Harden's the orchestrator and he's the engine that runs that team, I probably won't put him any higher than I have him now. I mean,
wow, they won back-to-back championships.
Rob, I think it's a good point because I got to be honest, and I've said it, and I still feel it right now.
Thanks for the call, Nick.
That Durant is their best player, but Harden.
Yeah, but Chris, you say that now, and if
close.
Durant is the one making the shots over LeBron when it matters or whatever,
they all gonna be doing it. It might be Kyrie.
No, I get it, but I mean, unless Durant, it really takes a back.
He's
seat.
not gonna be bad. No, he's not gonna be bad.
But that's what I'm saying.
But Harden is so versatile offensively. Now he's not. Durant's not a great defender, but Harden's not even on Durant's level defensively. But man, offensively, this dude, like if they win, say to use your illustration, if they win back to back,
right.
And Harden is the guy, and he's the Finals MVP, and they're all doing well, but he's the one that is Finals MVP, and he's clearly, like the caller said, the engine that is making this thing go, almost like a Magic Johnson role. I think Harden's legacy could really rise because it's hard to argue with what he did in Houston. Even though he never won a championship, even got to the finals, he put up historically great individual numbers. He essentially did what Durant did at Oklahoma City, and never got to the finals as Durant didn't after that, when they all went together as young kids. It'd be interesting. It's just going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out because Harden is really impressing me.
I agree.
Incredibly. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Like, yeah. So